You think you're overthinking. But you're not. You're out of control. And that's a much bigger problem than you realize. Because overthinking sounds harmless. It sounds like intelligence. Like you're just being careful, analyzing, trying to make the right move. But that's not what's happening. What's actually happening is this. Your mind is running, and you're chasing it. Every thought pulls you in a different direction. Every scenario feels urgent. Every possibility feels real. And instead of deciding, you keep spinning. You replay conversations that already happened. You imagine outcomes that haven't happened yet. You try to predict everything, so you don't get hurt. But the more you try to control everything in your head, the less control you have in your life. That's the paradox most men never see. They think more thinking will fix the problem. But thinking is the problem. And if you're honest with yourself, you've felt it. That moment when your mind won't stop. When silence feels uncomfortable. When doing nothing feels impossible. So you reach for your phone. You distract yourself. You fill the space. Not because you want to, but because you can't sit still with your own thoughts. That's not awareness. That's dependency. And it's costing you more than you think. Because while you're stuck in your head, life is moving without you. Opportunities pass. Decisions get delayed. Confidence disappears. And slowly, you start to feel like you're losing control. But here's the part no one tells you. You don't need to think more. You need to think less and control what stays. And once you understand that, everything starts to change. But first, you need to see exactly why this is happening. You don't feel out of control all the time. That's what makes this so dangerous. Because on the surface, your life looks normal. You go to work. You talk to people. You handle responsibilities. From the outside, nothing seems wrong. But inside your head, it's a different story. There's always something running. A thought you can't finish. A decision you keep delaying. A conversation you replay over and over again. And it never really stops. Even when you're resting, you're not resting. Your body is still, but your mind is working overtime. And over time, this starts to change the way you live. You hesitate more, not because you don't know what to do, but because you don't trust your own decisions. You second guess everything. Small choices become heavy. Simple actions feel risky. And the more you think, the harder it becomes to act. So you wait. You tell yourself you just need more clarity, more information, more certainty. But that clarity never comes. Because your mind doesn't want resolution. It wants control. And control, in your mind, means predicting every possible outcome. So you try. You imagine every scenario, every reaction, every possible mistake. You think it will protect you. But it doesn't. It traps you. Because reality doesn't wait for you to be ready. Life keeps moving. And while you're trying to calculate everything, you miss the moment to move. This is where most men lose momentum. Not because they're incapable, but because they're stuck in analysis. They don't fail fast. They stall slowly. And that slow stall is invisible. No one sees it. But you feel it. You feel it when you know what you should do. But you don't do it. You feel it when you delay something simple. For no real reason. You feel it when your mind keeps saying, wait a little longer. Think a bit more. Make sure this is right. And suddenly, days pass. Opportunities pass. Energy drops. And what used to feel like control starts to feel like pressure. Because now, you're not just thinking. You're carrying it. Every unfinished thought. Every unresolved decision. Every what if you didn't act on. It builds up. And eventually, your mind becomes a place you don't want to be in. That's why you escape. You scroll. You watch. You distract. Not because you're lazy, but because silence forces you to face it. And you're not ready for that. So you stay busy. You keep your mind occupied. without ever gaining control over it. And this is the real cost of overthinking. Not stress, not anxiety, but lost action. Because while you're thinking, you're not living. And the longer this pattern continues, the more it becomes who you are. A man who thinks, but doesn't move. A man who understands, but doesn't act. A man who knows, but doesn't change. And if that continues, it won't just affect your mind. It will shape your entire life. But here's the shift most people never make. The problem isn't your thoughts. It's your relationship with them. And once you see that clearly, you stop trying to fight your mind and start learning how to control it. That's where everything begins to change. The Stoics saw this problem long before you did. They didn't call it overthinking. They called it a lack of control over attention. And that changes everything. Because your mind isn't the problem. Your attention is. Where you place it, how long you hold it, and whether you can take it back. That's the real battle. There's a line from Marcus Aurelius that most people read, but never fully understand. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Sounds simple, but it's not. Because most people don't actually control their mind. They react to it. A thought appears, and they follow it. Another thought appears, and they follow that too. There's no filter, no pause, no decision, just reaction. And over time, that reaction becomes automatic. That's why you feel overwhelmed. Not because you have too many thoughts, but because you treat every thought as important. Every idea feels urgent. Every emotion feels real. Every scenario feels like it needs your attention. So your mind keeps pulling you, and you keep following. But here's what the Stoics understood. Not every thought deserves your attention. In fact, most of them don't. A thought is just a suggestion, not a command. It shows up, but you decide whether it stays. That's the part most men never learn. They think control means stopping thoughts. But that's impossible. The mind produces thoughts the same way the lungs breathe. Constantly. Automatically. Without asking you. So the goal isn't silence. The goal is selection. You choose what to engage with, and what to ignore. And at first, that feels unnatural. Because you're used to reacting. You're used to following every mental path to the end. But control starts the moment you pause. The moment you notice the thought, without becoming it. That small gap, that moment of awareness, is where power begins. Because in that space, you are no longer controlled. You are choosing. And the more you practice that, the stronger it becomes. You stop getting pulled into every scenario. You stop replaying every conversation. You stop chasing every what if. Not because your mind is quiet, but because you are. That's the difference. A calm mind is not a silent mind. It's a disciplined one. A mind that knows. This thought is not useful. This thought is not mine to follow. This thought can pass. And when you reach that point, something shifts. You don't feel trapped anymore. You don't feel rushed. You don't feel like you're behind. Because you're no longer reacting to everything inside your head. You're directing it. That's what control actually looks like. Not force. Not suppression. But quiet authority. And once you understand that, you stop trying to fix your thoughts and start managing your attention. That's the first real step out of overthinking. Understanding this is one thing. Applying it is where most men fail. Because it's easy to agree with the idea of control. But the moment a real thought hits, everything changes. You don't get a warning. There's no signal. It just appears. A memory. A doubt. A scenario you didn't ask for. And before you even realize it, you're already inside it. Following it. Expanding it. Reacting to it. That's why control doesn't start with big decisions. It starts in small moments. Moments most people ignore. A single thought that you don't follow. That's it. That's the beginning. Not controlling your entire mind. Just interrupting one pattern. Because once you can stop one thought, you prove something to yourself. You're not trapped. You're just untrained. So here's where you begin. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Right now. The next time a thought appears. Don't fight it. Don't analyze it. Don't try to solve it. Just notice it. And pause. That pause is everything. Because in that moment, you create distance. You step back. You stop being the thought and start observing it. It might feel uncomfortable. Your mind will try to pull you back in. It will tell you this thought is important, that you need to figure it out, that you can't ignore it. But you can. You don't have to follow every direction your mind points you toward. You can let it pass. Just like you would ignore noise in the background. At first, this feels weak, like you're avoiding something. But it's not avoidance. It's discipline. Because real control isn't reacting to everything. It's choosing what deserves your energy. And most thoughts don't. They're repetitive, unnecessary, unproductive. They don't lead to action. They lead to more thinking. So instead of engaging, you redirect. Not aggressively, not forcefully, but calmly. Back to what's real. Your breath, your body, your environment. Something grounded, something present. Because the more present you become, the less power your thoughts have. They can still appear, but they don't control you. And over time, this becomes natural. You don't get pulled as easily. You don't spiral as quickly. You don't lose yourself in your own mind. Because you've built a habit. A simple one. Pause. Observe. Return. Again and again. Until it becomes automatic. And this is where things start to shift. Not dramatically. Not all at once. But gradually. You notice more space in your mind. More clarity in your decisions. More control in your actions. And for the first time, you're not reacting to life. You're moving through it. But this is only the beginning. Because controlling your attention is one thing. Using it correctly is another. And that's where most people get it wrong. Control is not something you achieve once. It's something you repeat. Daily. Quietly. Without anyone noticing. Because the truth is, you don't lose control in big moments. You lose it in small ones. The ones that seem insignificant. The ones you ignore. A thought you follow for too long. A distraction you don't resist. A reaction you don't question. And over time, those small moments become patterns. And those patterns become your default. That's why most men never gain control. Not because they don't understand it, but because they don't train it. They wait for a perfect moment. A clean start. A day where everything feels aligned. But that day never comes. Because control is built in chaos, not in peace. So instead of waiting, you build a system. A simple one. Something you can repeat no matter how you feel. It starts with awareness. Every time you catch yourself drifting, you mark it. Not with judgment. Not with frustration. Just recognition. I'm doing it again. That sentence alone creates distance. It breaks the automatic loop. Then comes the reset. Not a big action. Just a small shift. Back to what's real. Your breath. Your posture. Your surroundings. Something physical. Something present. Because your body is always in reality. Your mind is not. So you use your body to anchor your attention. Again and again. Throughout the day. Not perfectly, but consistently. And over time, this creates a rhythm. You drift. You notice. You return. You drift again. You notice faster. You return sooner. That's the training. Not eliminating thoughts, but reducing how long they control you. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think progress means silence. No thoughts. No distractions. But that's not real Progress is shorter loops. Less time lost. More awareness. More control. Even if it's just a few seconds at first. Because those seconds add up. They become minutes. Then hours. Then days where you feel different. More stable. More clear. More present. And eventually, this becomes who you are. Not someone who tries to control his mind, but someone who naturally does. Without force. Without struggle. Because it's been trained. Quietly. Repeatedly. Every single day. And once you reach that point, you don't just think differently. You live differently. But there's something even deeper than this. Something most people never reach. Because they stop at control. And never understand what it's actually for. Most men stop once they gain a little control. They feel better. Calmer. More stable. And they think that's the goal. But it's not. Control is not the destination. It's the beginning. Because once you can choose what to focus on, a deeper question appears. What are you choosing to focus on? This is where everything changes. Because a controlled mind, with the wrong focus, is still a wasted life. You can eliminate distractions. You can silence unnecessary thoughts. You can stay present. But if your attention has no direction, you'll just be calm and stuck. That's why the Stoics never stopped at control. They moved toward purpose, toward intention, toward something worth focusing on. There's another idea from Marcus Aurelius that most people overlook. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Not the quantity. The quality. Because once you control your attention, you start shaping your thoughts. And those thoughts start shaping your actions. And those actions shape your life. So the real question is not, how do I stop overthinking? It's, what deserves my attention? Because attention is your most valuable resource. More than time. More than energy. Because where your attention goes, your life follows. If your attention is scattered, your life feels scattered. If your attention is reactive, your life feels chaotic. But if your attention is directed, your life starts to align. Not perfectly, but clearly. You stop chasing every idea. You stop reacting to every emotion. You stop giving importance to things that don't matter. And slowly, you become selective, deliberate, focused. Not because you force it, but because you understand the cost of not doing it. Every thought you follow takes you somewhere. Every distraction you accept pulls you away from something else. And once you truly see that, you stop being careless with your mind. You start protecting it, not from the world, but from itself. And that's the shift most people never make. They try to control their thoughts, but never question them. They try to quiet their mind, but never direct it. And without direction, control becomes empty. But with direction, control becomes power. Quiet power. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything. The kind that doesn't react. The kind that simply moves forward, without being pulled back. And this is where most people hesitate. Because once you realize your attention shapes your life, you can't ignore it anymore. You start to see it everywhere. In the way people react without thinking. In the way they get pulled into things that don't matter. In the way they waste energy on thoughts that go nowhere. And you recognize something uncomfortable. You've been doing the same thing for years. Not because you lacked intelligence, but because no one taught you how to direct it. And once you see that clearly, you have a choice. To keep drifting, or to start deciding. Moment by moment. Thought by thought. At this point, you don't need more information. You need structure. Because without structure, everything you've learned fades. You understand it today. You forget it tomorrow. And a week later, you're back where you started. Not because you're weak, but because you didn't build a system. So this is where it becomes real. Not philosophy. Not ideas. But daily behavior. Simple. Repeatable. clear. You wake up, and before your mind starts running, you anchor yourself, not with your phone, not with noise, but with awareness. A few seconds of stillness, just enough to notice, I'm here. That's how the day begins. Then you move, not rushed, not distracted, but intentional. Every action becomes a chance to practice. Not perfectly, but consciously. You walk, and you notice your steps. You breathe, and you feel it fully. You work, and you stay with one task. No switching, no drifting. And when your mind pulls you away, you don't get frustrated. You don't fight it. You return. Again. And again. That's the system. Not complicated. Not extreme. But consistent. Throughout the day, you check yourself. Not constantly, but enough to stay aware. Where is my attention right now? That question alone keeps you grounded, because it forces you to choose. To either stay present, or admit that you've drifted. And if you have, you come back. No judgment, no pressure, just control. And over time, this changes everything. Your decisions become clearer. Your actions become faster. Your mind becomes quieter. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You stop reacting. You stop chasing. You stop giving your energy away. And instead, you direct it toward what matters, toward what moves you forward. And this is where discipline becomes identity. Not something you try to do, but something you naturally are. A man who doesn't get pulled easily. A man who doesn't lose himself in his thoughts. A man who can stand still, even when everything around him is moving. And that kind of control is rare, not because it's hard, but because most people never commit to it. They understand it, they agree with it, but they don't live it. And that's the difference. At the end of all this, nothing around you has changed. The world is still noisy. People are still unpredictable. Life is still uncertain. But something inside you is different. You're no longer chasing every thought. You're no longer reacting to every feeling. You're no longer trying to control everything that happens. Because you've realized something most people never do. Control was never about the world. It was about you. Your attention. Your focus. Your response. And once you take that back, everything else becomes simpler. Not easier, but clearer. You don't need perfect conditions anymore. You don't need complete certainty. You don't need to think through every possible outcome. Because you trust something else now. Your ability to stay grounded. Your ability to return. Your ability to choose. And that's enough. More than enough. Because a man who can control his attention doesn't get lost easily. Doesn't panic quickly. Doesn't break under pressure. He moves differently. Quietly. Deliberately. Without needing to prove anything. And in a world where most people are distracted, that kind of presence stands out. Not loudly, but powerfully. And the truth is, this isn't something you reach one day and keep forever. It's something you practice daily, in silence, in small moments no one sees. That's where it's built. That's where it's kept. So the next time your mind starts running, don't follow it. Pause, notice, and return. That's all it takes. Not to become perfect, but to become in control. And once you feel that, even for a moment, you'll understand why this matters. Not because it changes everything around you, but because it changes how you move through it. And the truth is, most people will hear something like this, agree with it, and then go right back to their old patterns. Not because they don't care, but because change doesn't feel urgent. Until it is. Until the missed opportunities stack up. Until the hesitation becomes regret. Until the noise in their head becomes too loud to ignore. But you don't have to wait for that. You don't have to reach a breaking point to start taking control. Because control isn't built in crisis. It's built in quiet moments. The ones most people overlook. The ones that seem too small to matter. But they do. If this gave you something real, you already know what to do.